I've been hiking alone for about 6 years now. Long enough to feel confident. Maybe a little too confident. When you spend enough time in the woods, you reach a point where sticking to marked trails feels optional. And honestly, that attitude is exactly what put me in danger last October. I'd driven up to the Monongahela National Forest in West Virginia for a long weekend. The plan was simple. Avoid the crowded trails, enjoy some real solitude, and clear my head. The weather was perfect. Cool, mid-50s, gray skies, but no rain. The forest had that quiet, heavy stillness to it. The kind only deep woods can give you. 4 hours into my hike, I came across something I wasn't expecting. It was a gorge. Not massive, but deep. Maybe 30 to 40 feet. A narrow drop with a rocky creek cutting through the bottom. Something you definitely didn't want to fall into. The walls were steep, crumbly, and impossible to climb. The only way across was a massive fallen oak tree spanning both sides like a natural bridge. The bark was worn smooth, clearly used by other hikers. I checked it for stability, took a deep breath, and made my way across. Slow, careful steps. When I reached the other side, I felt that adrenaline surge you get from doing something risky but successful. And then I heard it. A steady, rhythmic thunk. I turned around. There was a man standing on the opposite side of the gorge. Maybe 50s, maybe older. Camo jacket, filthy jeans, a wild, scraggly beard. He looked like he hadn't spoken to another human in a long time. But the thing that froze me wasn't his appearance. It was the full-size axe he was holding. He walked right to the base of the tree I had just crossed and started chopping it. I yelled at him, asking what he thought he was doing. He didn't even acknowledge me, just kept swinging that axe, the sound echoing off the walls of the gorge. One strike landed harder than the others, and the entire log shifted. That's when it hit me. He was trying to trap me. I shouted louder, angrier, demanding he stop. Instead, he paused, slowly lifted his head, and looked at me for the first time. When he spoke, it was in this calm, emotionless tone. That ain't my problem. Something about the way he said it, so casual, like he was commenting on the weather. It sent a chill straight through me. I yelled back, angry, panicked, stupid, honestly. I must have struck a nerve because he suddenly stopped chopping and set the axe on the ground. He stepped closer to the ledge, and that's when I saw his eyes. Dark, sunken, like he hadn't slept in weeks. Then he said something I still hear in my nightmares. I know these woods better than you ever will. Not a threat. A statement of absolute certainty. Then, he picked up the axe, turned around, and walked back into the forest without another word. I stood there frozen, trying to process it. The log was still hanging there, but it was damaged, splintered and cracked at the base. No way I could cross back. And of course, no phone service. So I started following the gorge downstream, hoping to find another crossing. I had no idea how bad things were about to get. After nearly an hour, the gorge only got deeper, wider, darker. The sun was slipping behind the trees and I was exhausted. That's when I found it. A small clearing. A campsite. At first I felt relief. Another hiker, maybe help. But the closer I got, the more wrong everything looked. Strange symbols carved into the trees. Rusted tools scattered around. Animal bones arranged in patterns like some kind of ritual. Pieces of cloth tied to branches. No tent, no gear, no people. Just a place that felt like it shouldn't exist. I backed away instantly. That's when I heard the footsteps behind me. Slow at first, stopping every time I turned around, then starting again. I kept telling myself it was an animal, But deep down, I knew better. The footsteps became more deliberate, more coordinated. And then I saw movement. Someone ducking behind a tree, and another, and another. 3 figures closing in on me. I was being hunted. They weren't hiding anymore. I could hear them moving openly, branches snapping, leaves crunching. One of them held a pipe or a metal club, that was it. Instinct kicked in and I just ran. I don't know how fast I was going or how long I ran, but the forest blurred around me. One of them screamed, this primal, inhuman scream that echoed through the trees. It didn't sound like a warning. It sounded like excitement. The gorge was still beside me, trapping me. Just when my legs felt like giving out, I spotted another fallen tree stretching across the drop, much smaller than the first one. Much riskier. But it was the only chance I had. I climbed onto it, nearly slipping immediately. My body was shaking, my vision blurry from panic and exhaust. But somehow, I made it across. The moment my feet hit solid ground, I turned around. The 3 figures stood on the other side, dirty, identical in clothing. Same worn camo, same blank expressions, like copies of the first man. One stepped onto the log, paused, and then stepped back. He stared at me and said, almost bored, "Get out of here, you just got lucky." I didn't wait. I didn't speak. I just ran. The forest had gone completely silent behind me. No footsteps, no screams, just darkness closing in around me. I don't know how far I ran or how many wrong turns I took, but eventually, somehow, I stumbled onto a familiar trail marker, then another, and finally, the trailhead. I didn't stop until I was locked inside my car. I reported everything, but I knew nothing would come of it. Those men knew those woods better than anyone. They knew how to vanish. I still hike, but it's different now. I stay on the trails. I keep my distance from strangers. And I never shake that feeling that maybe I wasn't the first person they tried to trap out there. And maybe I wasn't supposed to escape. This happened about 3 years ago, and I'm not the kind of person who pads a story just to make it sound scarier. So I'll tell it exactly the way it unfolded. No drama added, no details missing. I was hiking deep in northern Minnesota, way off any marked trail. That's how I usually do it. I prefer real wilderness, the kind where the trees grow wild, the ground is uneven, and no signs or footsteps guide you. Just the forest and me. I'd been walking for maybe 4 hours when it hit me. Nothing around me looked familiar. Normally I can reorient myself pretty fast. Look at the sun, look at the terrain, remember the route. But this time, everything felt off. The air, the light, even the trees. That slow, heavy nausea of being lost started crawling into my stomach. I tried staying calm, kept moving, hoping something recognizable would show up. Instead, I noticed something much worse. A rustling sound behind me. Not constant, every 30 seconds or so. Exactly, matching my steps. I'd stop. It would stop. I'd walk. It would follow. I kept telling myself it was a deer. But deer don't shadow you like that. They run. They don't stalk. By then, I knew. Something was following me. And then everything changed at once. The rustling wasn't behind me anymore. It was all around me. Different spots. Different distances. A circle tightening around me. Before I even registered what was happening, they stepped out. A pack of wolves, 6, maybe 7. Some snarling, some silent, all staring directly at me like I was already dead. I pulled my knife, even though it was pointless, I remember thinking. So this is how I go. Not dramatic, not heroic, just torn apart in a forest because I thought I was too good for marked trails. I was trying to decide whether to look big, stay small, or just prey. When every single wolf froze, like statues, not reacting to me, reacting to something else. Their ears shot up, their heads turned, all staring past me, at something behind my shoulder. And then, without warning, the entire pack bolted full sprint. Terrified. And that's when real fear hit me for the first time. Wolves aren't scared easily. Something had chased them away. The woods went silent. Not quiet. Dead. No birds. No insects. No wind. Just this heavy, suffocating stillness pressing against my ears. The light dimmed, even though it was still afternoon. Everything felt wrong, like the forest was holding its breath. But I had to move, so I forced myself forward. 20 minutes later, I saw a clearing. At first, I thought it was a campsite, until I got closer. It wasn't a campsite. It was a ritual circle. Symbols carved deep into the trees. Not initials. Not anything I recognized sharp. Deliberate lines forming patterns that felt older than anything around me. Bones hung from branches on leather cords. Tiny bones. Birds. Rodents. Maybe not all animals. Some metal shapes too. Rusted and twisted in ways that didn't look accidental. The fire pit was the worst. It wasn't just stones. They were stacked in small towers. Delicate, intentional, wrong. And floating above the center, about 6 feet high, was a thick cloud of black smoke. Perfectly still. Not rising. Not drifting, just hanging there like it was waiting for something. My body locked up. I couldn't move. Couldn't look away. My eyes kept dragging back to the smoke even when I tried to look anywhere else. And then it hit me. The strangest, heaviest feeling I've ever felt. Not fear. Not grief. Both. Like I was mourning something before it happened. Like something terrible was about to occur and my body already knew I must have stood there for 5 minutes, frozen, until something deep in my brain snapped back into place. I didn't walk away. I ran. Ran without looking back, without thinking, without breathing. Just pure survival. That's when my memory starts getting blurry. Parts fade in and out, like someone cut frames out of a film. I don't know if it was adrenaline or something else, something about that smoke, or whatever made it. The next clear memory I have, it was dark, pitch black, and I was stumbling toward my car, shaking, freezing cold, drenched in sweat like I'd been running for hours without stopping. I got inside, started the engine, and drove until the forest was miles behind me. I never filed a report. What would I say? Hello, I found a floating cloud of smoke surrounded by bones. I couldn't find that clearing again, even if someone paid me. And honestly, I don't want to try. To this day, the thing that haunts me isn't the wolves, or the symbols, or the silent forest. It's the missing time. Because fear sharpens your memory. It doesn't erase it. So whatever happened in those hours, it wasn't normal, it wasn't natural, and it wasn't meant to be remembered.